Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am blessed today to have Kiara Ruth here with us, and I'm so thrilled that she's here to talk to all of you. And I'm going to let her introduce herself.
So, hi everyone. My name is Kiara Ruth. I am originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, but now I reside in Raleigh with my husband and my son, Miles, who just turned 7. And I am a lifestyle blogger for a brand called The Banana Moon. Where I talk all things motherhood, travel, and food through the lens of my 7-year-old Miles. So, yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I did research before I wanted before this, so I wanted to ask you a few things. Is it true you had a dream of becoming a DEA agent?
Yes, that is very much so true. Yes. Before I became a mom and got married and stuff, I wanted to be a secret agent. I wanted to live in Mexico and date high profile drug dealers to bust them. So that's what I really, really wanted to do. Very dangerous job. So I ended up
Yeah.
changing that.
Yes. I am very, very different than what you're doing right now.
Yes, very different.
Um, when I need to know the story behind how you came up with the banana moon. What is the story behind your name?
Okay, so my he Miles was about 3 years old then, and he would always go, "Mommy, the banana's out. The banana's out." And I'm like, "What? The banana moon is out. Look." And so I would look up, and the moon was shaped like a banana. He would call it the banana moon. And at first I used to be like, no, it's not a banana. I would give him the scientific name for the shape of the moon. But then I realized, I was like, you know what? I'm stopping him from dreaming. I'm stopping him from having an imagination. And
Oh,
so I probably did that once. And after that, I was like, you know what? It is a moon.
yeah.
Uh, and so the banana moon was birthed from Miles, and I gave it life. That's what I tell people. Miles birthed the name and I gave it life. So
Love that banana. I've never thought of that as as a banana, but
hmm
that's such a really cool thing to think about.
yeah. So that's how I came up with it. And I think too, another thing was for me, a lot of times as adults, we forget to dream.
Yeah,
That playful side.
yeah,
We're so linear where we get work done,
yeah,
everything's like ABC, but kids push us to think outside the box.
yeah.
And so the Banana Moon just kind of became my creative space to think outside the box and to be a kid again almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. To be a kid again would be such a dream.
Yeah.
To
That's
be
what I
able
tell
to,
Miles all the time. I'm like, you say that you want to be a teenager now, but
yeah. You
you
know,
trust
our
me.
our parents used to say to us all the time, "Don't wish it away," and then you get older and you're like, "Damn, I shouldn't have wished it
Yeah.
away."
You go, dang, I got to pay that bill. Mm.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. I feel like more of an adult when I have to pay a bill.
Yeah.
So
Yes. I agree with you on that. How did you start your blog? What was the kind of purpose behind it?
the purpose behind my blog was to just shed some light on, first of all, my story.
Right.
So I'm a sexual abuse survivor, and I wanted to share that part of me,
Yeah.
but also what it means to overcome and heal through the sexual abuse. Um, but connected to raising a child, right? Because there are so many things that come along with walking through that type of thing. But then also too, it allowed me to be creative because as a mother, sometimes you get so caught up in, um, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like you have so many responsibilities.
Yeah.
But the writing has become a creative outlet for me. And so I use that to fuel that passion, but then also encourage other moms, other women, um, other parents and guardians, to say, in spite of this, I've been able to do this.
Right. Very cool. And your concept of through the eyes of Miles is very unique. And typically you don't see that in a blog. Where
Mhm.
did you get that kind of idea from?
Because I think growing up, I didn't have the experiences that Miles has. Like he's done so many more things
Yeah.
at 7 than I had done probably ever. You know what I mean? Like it's been so great. But then also to allowing him to grow in a way, in a worldly way. And I don't mean it in a sense that, he's gonna be wild
Right.
and things like that. But what I mean is that I want him to be able to walk in any space. I want him to be able to talk about travel and culture and food. And I want him to be worldly in that way. But I wanted to experience it with him first. For him to say, oh yeah, me and my mom, we visited one of the 7 wonders of the world together.
Yeah.
And this is how it made me feel. And I first started out doing that through art. That's how it really came about, because we would go to museums and I would my husband calls it pick his brain. I would pick his brain. How did this painting make you feel? How does this painting make you feel? How, like, what do you think they're saying here?
Right.
And so that's how it became through the lens of Miles, because kids have a way of thinking differently,
Right.
and that's how they came. Or like with food, he's like, well, the only way I'm going to eat sushi is if I travel to China.
Right.
Like he has like, or like he's like, and I'm like, well, how do I make that happen? Because he's
Yeah.
like, if it's not going to be authentic,
Right.
then I don't want it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because that's how I want him to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
so
and what a cool thing for us to say. I haven't tried Indian food yet, and I'm not going to try it until I go to India or something like to lead that kind of life and journey and thinking. It would be,
yeah.
I mean, so super unreal for all of us just to follow.
Yeah, and I show him like people who travel the world, and just how rich a person can be
Yeah.
just travel alone. And so through the lens of him has really just kind of
Very cool.
opened up my eyes too,
Yeah.
you know.
In this blogger space, where do you feel the most challenged?
In the bloggers. Okay, so I think for me, it's how consistent people try to tell you should be,
Yes.
right? I think in the blogger space, there's so many things people tell you that you should do or how you should do this.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I do feel challenged in that, because I don't want to miss out, or I don't want to be not, I want people to follow and I want people to do this. And I think those are challenges because it creates these unrealistic expectations for the people around you. And these past couple of years, I've kind of let that go.
Yeah.
Because I only write when I'm passionate about it. And I tell people all the time, and I think you may have heard me say this before, but
Yeah.
it's not my job to encourage you to buy a sweater,
Right.
or a pair of jeans.
Right.
I want to know about the person who's inside the sweater,
Yeah.
or the struggle that you had to walk through in those jeans.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been not necessarily a challenge, but just pushing the norm,
Yeah.
of what it means to be a blogger, especially in today's world when someone's trying to sell you eyeliner or,
Right.
the next sale. And some people, my growth has been slow, but it's been consistent. It's been slow, but consistent. But then also too, it's not as quick as other people because I'm not trying to please everybody.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you feel like because there are so many people now that are in this the best way to blogger space, do you feel like there is sometimes just too many, or there's an abundance of people who are sometimes doing the same thing, or just in general?
Mhm. Um, it when you were speaking, it made me think about when Rihanna created Fenty.
Yeah.
Did she care that there was a NARS company or MAC,
Yeah.
right? She
Yeah.
created space for herself
Right.
and she stayed in her lane. Now, she might have some of the same shades or some of this, but it's hers.
Yeah.
And so I think there is a lot of people who blog and there are a lot of people who have websites in there. But I think one of the things that's been very refreshing for me is there's no one like me.
Right.
You know, there's no one who's going to say it like me.
Yeah.
And so, yes, she might be a blogger, but she's not me.
Right. Right. I love
Um,
that. I love that. And that relation to Rihanna is very, very true. Um,
mhm,
because I like, she is a queen in my eyes.
mhm, yeah.
The space that she has created.
Mhm. And she didn't, she, you know, she could have been like, oh, well, they've already done it, but
Yeah.
they haven't done it like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? And so that's how I have to move.
Yeah. I love that. Where do you feel like, where is your kind of zone? Like, what is your passion and favorite thing to kind of write about?
You know, I told Terrence this the other day, that's my husband. I said, if I could travel the world
Yeah.
and write
Yeah.
and write and write and eat and drink coffee, you know, like, although
Yes.
I don't want to be a food blogger, I just want, or, you know, I
Yes.
think my, my, my zone is being in different places and experiencing people and culture um, motivates me in a way that I can't explain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but in a more immediate, like, you know, more proximity to right now, I would say just watching Miles. I think that motivates me. He'll say something and I'm like, all right, you know, like, like, and then I'll write about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is Miles sparked this, you know, or I'll listen to a podcast. So those are things that are kind of immediate
Yeah.
that get me in the zone is listening to podcasts, reading books, listening to Miles, listening to my husband come up with concepts,
Yeah.
gets me in the zone.
Very cool. A kind of off the topic
Oh,
question. When I'm super curious to, because I hate having, there's so many titles out there. When you introduce yourself to people, do you like, what is your title you give people? Do you say blogger? Do you say content creator? What do you say?
so you know, what's funny is I always put that I'm a writer. Like I really enjoy writing. Like that's when I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm blogging, but I'm also really writing. Like I take pride in my writing. So like I'm like, you know, hi, you know, I'm
Yeah.
Kiara. I'm a writer for the Banana Moon blog, right? Because like it's
Cool.
like, okay, it still is a blog, but
Yeah.
I'm writing on it. And then um I lead with who I am first, right? And then I say, and then I have a son, and then I'm married to, you know, because for a long time I used to say, oh, I'm a mom. But I'm
Right.
not just that.
Yeah.
Or my husband, I'm not just a wife, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Sometimes I depend, you know, the thing is it depends on who I'm talking to too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and when people like if I'm in a group of bloggers,
Right.
I'll say,
Oh,
I'm a writer for the Banana Moon blog, or I'm a blogger.
yeah.
And then if I'm in a space with writers, I'm gonna say I'm a writer. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So it depends. I
Right.
think you kind of read room to kind of figure out what comes first.
Yeah. I battled for a long time because for my YouTube channel, I just never liked saying I'm a YouTuber, because I don't feel like I'm a,
Yeah.
I'm a YouTuber in that sense, like
Yeah.
so many other people are. So I'm like, I just say I'm a content creator, because I do create other things outside of videos.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to hear what everybody gives their own separate title in this kind of world.
Also too, it's so funny you said that, because on my business card, I just got business cards made. What kind of makes me official, right? I think. Do people still do
Absolutely.
business cards? I don't know, but my husband still carries business cards. It just looks really good for him, so I was like, I'll get me some.
Yeah.
But on my business card, I put either blogger plus content creator or writer plus content creator. So
Yeah, it's just I feel like it's just cuz you can hold so much space in there. You don't it doesn't have to be video, it doesn't have to be writing. There's a little bit of space in there cuz it can also be photography or whatever it may be.
yeah.
So I feel like it's just a very curious question that I always ask people in this space like how do you introduce yourself? Uh, so it's always interesting to me. You had said a little bit ago you are consistent, but going at a slower, a slower pace than people might see that they are growing. Is
Mm-hmm.
there a thought in your head though of kind of, you know, this is where I want to grow it to, or this is where I want to have it be?
Yes, there is a goal. I do have a goal. I would love to one day be able to write a book.
Okay.
Um, but as far as like my growth, you know, looking at numbers give
Yeah.
me anxiety,
Yeah.
makes me crazy. So what I say is to myself every single day is, if I'm changing the life of one or two or three people or impacting them in some kind of way, at the end of the day, like, does having 10,000 really mean anything?
Right. 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 Right.
Because I can say that, oh yeah, I posted something and I got this many likes,
Right.
but really, when I'm depressed and feeling sad or lonely and down, those numbers can't do anything for me.
Right.
It's those people that I'm around, that I'm building relationships, authentic relationship with, that pour into me,
Yeah.
that pushed me to, keep going. And so growth for me is extending or expanding my influence capacity,
Yeah.
but in a sense that I am impacting someone's life in a positive way. You know what I mean?
Right. When you're saying that, for me, I'm very much the same way. I don't have a ton of followers, and I don't necessarily focus on that so much. I focus a lot on the conversations I have with people
Mm-hmm.
and those kinds of relationships and what I learn from everybody. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because like this space, I love getting to hear other people's stories and what motivates them and what's kind of pushed people to be where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
it's such an incredible opportunity to have. And I think sometimes people focus too much on the numbers.
Yeah. And the numbers are, they give you, I mean, let's just say, like, how many times a day do you hear people saying something's going on
Yeah.
with this?
Yeah.
Something's going on with the algorithms and all of that.
Yeah.
I can't be worried about the algorithm. The algorithms are not paying my bills.
No.
You know? So
Yeah, I get that to the full extent, and it's very we're living in a world right now where your numbers matter in such a way, and I think you have to take a step back from that and realize, like, and especially during COVID, I think a lot of people did that. Those numbers don't mean anything. It's the conversations and the relations that you do you have.
and I think COVID pushed us to pivot,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Because we were no longer able to go out and buy.
Yeah.
We were not able to go out and show, the trips that we were taking, and we were at home,
Yeah.
in our norm,
Yeah.
our real norm,
Yeah.
and people were going crazy,
Yeah.
and they needed to be authentic, and they needed to be real,
Yeah.
because they couldn't fake the funk anymore.
Yeah. Oh
You
God.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now I have to show up on social media as I am,
Yeah.
like in that moment.
Yeah.
And so I tell people all the time, yeah, there were some horrible things that came out of 2020, but there were also some really great things we saw. Of course, not in a in, not like a huge way, but we saw people starting to shift their content around this is who I am.
Yeah.
I want to be real. I want to be authentic. Every day is not unicorn and rainbows, you know?
Yeah. For me, it was it was a very pivotal moment in that I was kind of like it was that inner battle of do I post content right now as well because like does anybody really care? We're not functioning in a normal world.
Mm-hmm.
It's that that's that angel and demon talking. Is it worth putting out there?
Mm-hmm.
Because like who knows if somebody is actually listening to this or
Mm-hmm.
did you ever have any of those moments when we were going through all of this?
Yeah, but you know, I think for me it was a little bit different too, right? Because we like right after COVID hit, we were at the height of like George Floyd, and so I think that during that time for me, that was the best time for me because I could be honest about where I was walking through George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. So I could be honest about where I was. So the content that I was putting out was like, hey, here's where I am.
Right.
This is what it means to raise a Black son. This is what it means to have a Black husband, you know, and this is what it means to feel isolated in that, right? Because not only were we isolated because of COVID, we were isolated in our Blackness.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was like for a lot of Black content creators, it just allowed that time to really shed light on the issues that were going on. And it also kind of charged a lot of other people to step up, particularly white content creators, to say, hey, you got to say something, you know? But it was also a time where it just got a little crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
It did.
But it needed to happen. And of course, we still have so much growth to do. We have so many more heights, so many mountains to climb, so many valleys to go through. But I think 2020 was one of those years where either you came out strong or you came out like, I got some work to do, you know?
Yeah. When you're talking about that, I what's popping through my head is how did you walk miles through all of those events that were happening? What was the biggest thing you wanted him to grasp?
I think in the beginning it was really hard on both of us. And I think parents can identify with this the most because I had to teach Miles about what it means to have grace. Yeah. And he had to teach me too about what it means to have grace because let me tell you, we were like at each other's neck. Like, I was like, listen, as much as you don't want to be home, I don't want to be here either. Like, I want to be sitting at a coffee shop drinking a latte. I know you want to be at school with your friends, but we're both here. And so we got to figure this thing out. We did not sign up for this. I know I didn't sign up to be a first grade teacher. A lot of other parents didn't sign up to be a teacher, but I think it was just like, hey, right now this is hard. Yeah. And this is what we have to do to be able to walk through it. And so that was one thing. And then the second thing was just talking to him about racial issues and like what it for at the time a 6-year-old. Right. And so, you know, we read a lot of books and, you know, we had, you know, childlike conversations around the issue and the topic. Now, if he asked me a question, I didn't spare him. You know, I was like, this is what it means. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's how we kind of walked through that time.
Yeah. Like you said, some of us came out stronger in 2020 and some of us came out looking very disheveled and very, very trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to be both, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think people have to realize that, like, it's okay to not know. That's how you grow. Like, you have to ask those questions. You're not gonna know. Right. You know, I have friends who call me all the time, Kiara, what does this mean? And I don't want you to, I'm like, listen, I'm so glad you called me.
Right.
You know, because I might call you too, you know, like, so I think it's okay to be both.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. I absolutely love that.
Mhm.
I want to end this with a question that I ask everybody.
Mhm.
What inspires you?
What inspires me? I think that the work that I am doing now and also my husband's doing now will impact my son
Yeah.
and his son and his son. And to know that how we are creating change in the world today
Yeah.
will allow him to be the man that he's intended to be
I
in
love
the future.
I love that.
Um, so yeah, I think that's what inspires me to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Love that. I love that. And I think a word that popped in my mind, it was just growth when you were just saying
mhm,
it. Just it's a massive word I'm trying to work with right now too, is just um growth in so many areas of life, and I think it's important for everybody to have that as well.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kara, for being here. I had so much fun talking about this. I learned so much from your all your goodness. So
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much being here.
Thank you so much for asking me and inviting me.
Yeah.
And I hope that you get to enjoy the weather.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm gonna have all of Kiara's stuff linked down below so you guys can go follow her and go read her blog and get into the see through the lens of Miles.
Yeah.
It is so cool. Um, but thank you again, Kiara, and I will see you guys back here next time. Bye,
All
y'all.
right. See ya.